All right, talked previously about depressive disorders. Now we're going to talk about bipolar disorders. Now, bipolar disorders also involve those depressive symptoms that we talked about previously, but they involve another core symptom of mania, or also there's hypomania. I'll talk about that in a bit. Hypo, not hyper. But mania. What is mania? Mania involves periods or episodes of euphoria, not the TV show, but euphoria, which is the opposite of dysphoria. What's dysphoria? That's the stuff we talked about with the depressive disorders, you know, feeling down. Euphoria is feeling energetic and more good in many cases. And so this feelings of excessive happiness or excessive, feelings like I can do anything. So this mania is often accompanied by elevated self-esteem, like I am amazing, I am unique, I am special, I can do great things. Increased talkativeness, talking really fast and people can't even understand what you're saying. Enhanced energy, staying up all night, getting things done, and decreased need for sleep. All right. Now, some of you may say, well, is that a bad thing? I mean, I bet you're getting a lot of stuff done when you're manic. Well, the stuff that you get done when you're manic, they may not be of the highest quality because you don't always stop and take a step back and evaluate, what you're doing, what you're producing. You may make impulsive decisions during this time. And the thing about mania is it doesn't last forever. So eventually you are no longer manic. And so mania, while you're in it, may feel very good, but it's when you're out of it that, the negative experiences can come about. Now, when we talk about our diagnosable disorders in the DSM, we have two types of bipolar disorder. Now, way back in my day, in my youth, we used to say manic depressive disorder. One reason for that is because you have alternating between mania and depression. We no longer use that term, all right? We now have bipolar disorder because the idea is you have two poles, two extremes, and you alternate, or you can alternate between those two extremes. So if you have bipolar 1 disorder, all right, bipolar 1, this is where you have at least one manic episode, and many individuals will have recurring manic episodes. But to be diagnosed with this, you have to have at least one manic episode, just like your depressive, your major depressive episodes. Has to last a period of time, have to have certain symptoms. There's stuff listed in the DSM for what counts as a manic episode, and have to alternate between periods of mania and major depressive episodes. So with bipolar 1 disorder, they have some episodes of mania, some episodes of major depressive disorder. And the at least one manic episode thing can be important because sometimes people get diagnosed with bipolar 1 after they have previously been diagnosed with a depressive disorder, like major depressive disorder. It's not until the manic episode shows up and is detected and is known to a mental health professional that they're like, oh, this is more in line with bipolar 1 disorder. All right, so and I personally don't have this disorder. I have family members with this disorder, friends with this disorder. The way they describe it to me is you do all this stuff when you're manic and then you're exhausted and then you're depressed. You kind of go into this depressive episode where you can't imagine having the energy that you had when you were manic, and then sometimes you regret some of the stuff you did when you were manic. Maybe you spent a lot of money, maybe you made some faulty decisions. And then with depression, you might miss the energy that you had with manic episodes. And the frustrating thing is not knowing what's coming next. Some individuals, they do kind of alternate where they know if they have a manic episode, they're going to have a depressive episode. Other individuals I've heard from where they said it's less predictable. They kind of don't know what's coming in their life. Now, medication can be tremendously helpful with bipolar disorder. One issue with bipolar 1 disorder, one issue is that sometimes they start feeling okay and nobody wants to take medicine forever. So sometimes they're like, I'm doing okay, I don't need this medicine anymore. And then they go into one of their episodes. So, sometimes the tricky thing is having someone be compliant with their medication. Now, we also have another symptom called hypomania. Think like less of something, all right? But it's kind of tricky here what hypomania is. So this is a milder form of mania, all right? It's like, okay, so just like mania light, is that what we're talking about here? It causes less severe mood elevations, does not necessarily interfere with normal daily functioning. But what you often see is for many individuals it's kind of constant. That, you know, this is almost like people might describe it as part of their personality, like, yeah, they're always kind of up and ready to do things, right? And so with hypomania, why do we care about hypomania? Well, there is another diagnostic category, bipolar 2 disorder. With bipolar 2 disorder, they have at least one hypomanic episode combined with one major depressive episode. So bipolar 1, you have full-blown mania. Bipolar 2, you have hypomania fluctuating with or combined with major depressive episodes. And so why do we need two different categories? Well, we do the research and we see that treatment may be different for the two categories. So we have seen utility of having them having it broken up into two different categories. I do remember a time where you just had one bipolar disorder category, and now we have the two to distinguish whether it's mania or hypomania. And I said it before, I'll say it again. People who have to take medication for a bipolar disorder, no judgment to them. That is what helps them, combined with checking in with the therapist or sometimes spending a lot of time speaking with the therapist about symptoms and symptom management. All right, now before we move on to some other disorders, I do want to mention some research on suicide. So in the next, because you do see this with both depressive disorders and bipolar disorders, so in the next video, I'm going to talk a bit about research on suicide.